Good morning, everybody. Today, I have the pleasure as Prime Minister of Israel to talk about a really controversial topic, the monopoly of violence and legitimate force by the state, actually a fundamental tool for an efficient government. Now, the importance of this is that with this power of coercion, the state can fully carry out its functions. The state arises to fulfill certain tasks and must be in charge of fulfilling at least three main functions: legislating, executing the law, and judging those who act contrary to it, establishing the parameters to coexist in society. In the case of Israel, a reborn nation, with a diversity of cultures and ideals, persecuted by perpetual territorial interest, this figure is decisive. People minimize it throughout history, which at the moment reached a poverty rate of more than 37% and a mortality rate of more than 32%. Today, deserves the protection it has never had. The missile attacks by Palestinian militants have been responded to with the use of legitimate violence as the main tool for the protection of the sacred land of Israel. Without this, no state would have a real possibility of complying with the task of judging those who act against the ordinance, because even when it could legislate and enforce law, it wouldn't have the ability to act according to them. If the state doesn't have the monopoly of violence and force, we will go back to the Middle Ages, where it would lose its fundamental characteristic, the unity of power. At this point, you may have some doubts. And to answer these questions, the contractualist theory would be the key, according to which the state originates as a result of a social contract, where its citizens agree to give up their right to use violence and force. But it is not a blind resignation. This is the way in which one goes from a condition of nature to a social condition, where the figure of state emerges as a legal person that protects its citizens, because that's the real goal: protect and guarantee protection of those who comply with the law and punish those who seek to undermine society. And this is the way a like state should really work.
Hello, my name is Daimar Canelones. I am the representative of International Amnesty. What means the monopoly of violence? It means that the public power exclusive use or exercise of force prohibit the various groups that compete within civil society from using arms and coercive means. But it also means, on the other hand, that the state receives this monopoly of violence from society and must exercise it in accordance with the law and respecting the rights of every human being and the political freedom of the citizens. Since October 2015, Israel and the West Bank, including East Jerusalem, had witnessed the most significant wave of violence that are taken as a violation of human rights. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights is a document that acts like a global roadmap for freedom and equality, protecting the rights of every individual. It was the first time that countries agree on the freedoms and rights that deserve universal protection in order for every individual to live their life freely, equally, and in dignity. The Universal Declaration was adopted on 1928 by the United Nations. Its adoption recognized human rights to be the foundation for freedom, justice, and peace. Israeli forces have carried out attacks that have killed hundreds of civilians using precision weapons such as drone-fired missiles, as well as munitions that are not allowed to use on civilians. They have also directly attacked thousands of homes inside these territories. Under international humanitarian law, all sides in an armed conflict must distinguish between military targets and civilian structures. In this case, The civilian objects, such as homes, medical facilities, schools, governmental buildings that are not used for military purpose, are prohibited and are war crimes. According with this, the monopoly use of violence by the state of Israel is a violation of human rights to the lives of all the civilians inside these territories. All sides in a conflict must take necessary precautions in attack to minimize harm to civilians and civilian objects.